Hello guys, I'm Sapphire Yagami with Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. I know I'm like super behind on this one, so I'm gonna do all the episodes up to the mid-season finale. So it's episode 3 titled titled Forget Me Not. Episode 4 is The Serpent. Episode 5 is Heart of Stone. Episode 6 is Who's Alice. Episode 7 is Bad Blood, and episode 8 is Home. And the season will continue on March 6th. So starting with episode 3, with the genie's bottle in her clutches, the Red Queen sends the Bandersnatch after Alice, since Jafar needs her in order to use Cyrus, who is discovered to have contacted her. And Alice and the Knave of Hearts head to the house of the Grendel in the Whispering Woods to obtain the Forget-Me-Not so they can find out who stole Cyrus' bottle before Jafar could steal it. In the Knaves of Hearts flashback, it is shown that he joined up with Robin Hood's Merry Man back when he was Will Scarlet. It is also revealed that his love, Anastasia, is now Wonderland's Red Queen. And you're wondering, like, well, how you go from that to fall in love with Will Scarlet? And also, given the fact that it's Robin Hood, we kind of get a tie-in with Once Upon a Time, because Robin Hood is apparently Regina, who is the evil queen from the Snow White stories, true love. So that's kind of cool, you know. Plus, with Alice in Wonderland, it's kind of good to see how else they're gonna, I'm trying to say this, how they're gonna put in other fairy tale characters. Because so far, the storylines we have so far is characters from Alice in Wonderland, and we have the characters from Arabian Nights. I think it's called Arabian Nights, which is Jafar and Cyrus, the genie, or most people might know them from Aladdin, the Disney version. So, episode 4, The Serpent, the Knave of Hearts is kidnapped by the Red Queen on behalf of Jafar after saving him from Caterpillar's collectors. Jafar wants him publicly beheaded to serve as an example of what happens to anyone who helps Alice. Alice then befriends a collector named Lizard, who helps Alice in her mission to rescue the Knave of Hearts. Meanwhile, the Red Queen is hesitant to kill the Knave since she is still in love with him, and flashbacks reveal Jafar's real reason for wanting Cyrus' powers. The real reason Jafar wants his power has to do with his history, his father and stuff. So we'll get more into that. And you just, oh my god, when I got to that stuff, I was like, oh my god, that is so terrible. I just feel bad for Jafar. You just feel bad for him. I mean, he's like the best freaking villain on this freaking show, but his background makes you feel so bad for him. I don't know what it is about these villains on Once Upon a Time and Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, but it's like they're so evil, like the evil queen and Rumpelstiltskin and Jafar and the Red Queen. But you get into their bad stories, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sorry for you. Even with Loki from the Avengers, I'm just talking about villains in general, but even Loki's background, you kind of feel bad for him, but then he kind of, anyway, I'll get to that later. So, in episode 5, Heart of Stone, in the past, we see Scarlet and Anastasia go through the looking glass in the Wonderland because they're in love. And her mom was like, her mom was pretty much saying that I didn't bring you up enough so you could just marry like pretty much a crook. Her mom want her to marry somebody of royal blood or somebody with some high status. But Scarlett said she didn't want all that. She just wants her man. I was like, oh. And her mama said if she ever returns, I'm gonna make you a servant. I'm like, damn, really, mom? Really, mom? Really, mom? So they go through the looking glass into Wonderland, only to find out it's not completely what they expected. Anastasia, she kind of envies what she doesn't have. So they go to this party. They obviously stole some nice suits and a dress, and try to mingle and stuff until they get caught. And the king of the land is smitten by her. So later, she convinces Will to go with her and to steal pretty much the royal jewels. So she goes in there to steal the jewels. The king, talks to her and says that instead of stealing it, these could actually just be yours. So we have Will down there waiting for, his girlfriend, hoping she didn't caught. Hoping that she didn't caught. So we did get this announcement, yee-hee. So Will's like, oh snap, something wrong. Because you can see these crowd of people going below the tower. And then the king announces his new queen. So we see that it's Anastasia, and Will is pretty much heartbroken. So she kind of at this point she kind of like chose money and status over her love of Will. And meanwhile, in the present time, the Red Queen makes a deal with Alice to gain special magic dust that only someone of pure of heart can claim, while the White Rabbit is forced to work for Jafar. And Jafar did cut off his foot, talking about, I got Lucky Rabbit's foot. I'm like, oh, poor Rabbit. And Alice had to gain the special magic dust by not killing the Red Queen, because it would be easy to kill her, so that, you know. So, Alice, the Red Queen pretty much takes the red dust from Alice, but Alice still has some left. And we see what the Red Queen does with the magic dust. She goes and turns Will, who's turned into a statue by Jafar, back into flesh and blood. Episode 6, Who's Alice? We go more to Alice's background story. In this one, while traveling through the Black Forest to get a recently escaped Cyrus, Alice ends up in Boyle Grove where she starts to lose her memory as a neighbor Hearts tries to get her to leave Boyle Grove. Boyle Grove is kind of like this place where you pretty much forget all your troubles, all the things that are, you know, all your trouble, literally all your troubles. So as the more you forget all your troubles, the more you become part of the grove itself. You start to turn into a tree. So while Cyrus is evading the Red Queen, Jafar heads to Victorian England with the White Rabbits in order to find the ones that Alice cares about. Flashbacks reveals what happened after Alice had presumed Cyrus died, where it was shown that her father had remarried a woman named Sarah, resulting in Alice having a half-sister named Millie. So with Alice being returned back, she is now a young woman. And, you know, the mother, the news, pretty much the mom, Sarah, she's like, you know, since Alice is a woman, she has to pretty much, she's trying to prepare her for marriage because she's a woman. This is Victorian England, so, you know, at a certain time, age, a woman had to, you know, was ready to be married to a man. So she's like, I'm gonna set you up with this nice guy in the neighborhood. And Alice, like, you know, it's pretty much not over the loss of Cyrus yet. And to them, Sarah and her father don't know that, you know, Cyrus is a real person. They just think that, you know, Alice is making all these things up and stuff like that. So they didn't want her influencing their daughter Millie. And Alice is like, Dad, why don't you just believe me? You know, and I kind of like don't like Sarah anyway, because she got that little, that look on her face, like that stank look on her face. You know that stank look that somebody give you like they smell something funky, and that's how Sarah is kind of like with Alice, because, well, for one, Alice is his daughter, boo. She is the oldest, so get over it. She was here first. Just because you came to this man's life and had a little girl, Alice still trumps over your daughter. Okay, get over it. He ain't gonna never stop loving his oldest, Alice. Okay, so this woman. I don't like the vibe of this woman at all, and so she is the one who actually convinces the dad that either if she can't forget about it, then maybe she should go to pretty much the crazy house and where there's good treatment and everything. So I'm like, oh, so it's this broad's idea to send Alice to the crazy house. Should have known. But I'm also mad at the dad because, for one, this is your daughter. How you gonna let your new wife tell you how to handle your own freaking daughter? As your father, you should believe this girl regardless, no matter freaking what. No matter what. She is your daughter. You gonna let this new broad come up in and tell you to send your child to a freaking crazy house. So that's how Alice got to the crazy house. I'm like, So in episode 7, Bad Blood, as Alice and the naval hearts make a rescue plan to get Cyrus off Jafar's floating island, Jafar brings Edwin back to Wonderland and takes some of Edwin's blood to assume his form so he can get to Alice to use her second wish. So now that Dad is in Wonderland, he's like, oh snap, it is real. Oh snap. So in a flashback, Jafar meets his father, and his father, who is the Sultan. The Sultan. That's who's daddy. His mama was one of the Sultan's mistresses. She had him. She died. And she told him to go to your father. And Jafar was like, who's my daddy? She's like, he's the Sultan. I'm like, what? And by him, when he meets his daddy, that leads to the events which made Jafar the villain that he is today. And we'll get to that in episode 8. But let me finish with episode 7. So you got Jafar posing as her daddy, trying to figure out stuff out. Alice notices that that's not her father when they sit down and eat, and he goes to eat, and she, talks to Naval Heart, and she says, "That's not my daddy. My daddy." But every time before he eat, he sits down and pray, and that's how you definitely know if you know somebody's eating habits and they never have changed. Like say you got a boyfriend, and before he eats every meal, he does a little prayer to God. He does a little prayer to God, like bless God, bless for the food, and he ain't do that. That's not your man, boo boo. That's not your man. That's not your man. So she knows her dad's eating habits. She's not stupid. So she's like, that's not my dad. That's somebody else. So Jafar figures out that she's on to him and goes and retrieves her actual father. And pretty much her father apologizes for not believing in his daughter. And she's like, and she accepts an apology. Then Jafar pretty much drops him, causing Alice to make her second wish for her father to reach a safe home. So now she only has one wish left. So in episode 8, as Alice plans to reunite with Cyrus the Outlands because she found out that he escaped, so they gotta reunite and be so beautiful. She plans to get answers from the White Rabbit about his connection to the Red Queen, which involved the White Rabbit's family. So they go to this old place. It's kind of like this wagon where White Rabbit's family was at, and so they say it's his family. Alice meets Cyrus at the Outlands, and the disdain between Jafar and Red Queen reaches its breaking point because she finds Cyrus and pretty much needs his help to try to get Will to forgive her. And Jafar has created some sort of spells for a storm to find Red Queen. So the reached Outlands is protected by a barrier, which makes it pretty much invisible. Cyrus and Alice are reunited. Red Queen pretty much asks, that says, me and Jafar, we're not partners anymore. He's gonna try to kill me, and I'm the only one who can get to safety. And they have the White Rabbit, and we're like, okay, White Rabbit, dig a hole. We gotta get out of here. And Will's like, I don't trust, I pretty much don't trust the Red Queen. And then it gets all hectic when Will gets hurt, and so does Alice. And then, everything's hectic. Cyrus is holding Alice. Red Queen is holding Will. So, Will Scarlet makes a wish that Alice's suffering pretty much cease to exist. So, Alice comes back to life. Cyrus holds her and stuff like that. And, they have their little moment. And then he notices that each genies have these things in their arm, which pretty much is kind of like their bonds to being a genie. Those disappear, and the Red Queen's like, "Where's Will is gone from grabs." So then he asks her, "Where's the bottle?" So they're like, "Oh snap!" And we go to the bottle. Will is now the new genie, and the bottle is somewhere floating down the river somewhere. So I'm like, "Well, that was interesting." Will is now the genie of the bottle of the lamp. And also within Jafar, Jafar goes to his daddy after his mama died, and says, "I'm the son." The Sultan pretty much says to him, "I only have one son. And I'm gonna let you stay, but I'm gonna let you stay as servant, and do not ever address me as your father." I'm like, damn. So they add the little dinner thing, whatnot, and he has a son, and he asks the son this question about what something. Because they got other royals over and stuff. So the son obviously even though he's the prince, he don't know what he's supposed to. He don't know the stuff because at the age he's already supposed to know. Because they teach royals stuff they gotta know when they get older. They start them. You gotta start them young. So Jafar knew the answer, so he says it, and the man's like, and the guest is like, "Ha ha ha! Your servants are very smart." And the sultan's like, "Yes, yes." So later that night, Jafar's in the room cleaning up. The little prince come in, and he smacks the boy. And then the sultan comes in. He's like, "Keep going, son." I'm like, "Really? No offense. I'm not gonna let this little prince slap me in the face. I'm not gonna let this do that. You ain't gonna slap me in the face because you stupid and because you ain't know the answer. You wanna get mad. You stupid. You ain't know the answer. You the prince. I'm not, but I know the answer. Ooh, you stupid. I'm not gonna let this little boy slap me." So then Jafar makes the incident of calling the Sultan his daddy again, and so the Jafar the Sultan was like, "Oh, okay, I forgive you." And so the boy turns around to go, clean his face though. The Sultan tries to drown the boy in the sink. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, is it that serious that you have to drown your illegitimate children, your bastard children?" Why can't I say the word illegitimate? Because I'm pretty sure the Sultan has many of them. Because because I don't care what religion they part of. I don't care if there was Islam, there was Christians, kings, whatever. I don't care if they was in England, they was in Saudi Arabia, or they was in Africa. Kings at this time frame, I don't care what religion, what race, I don't care. Kings had their wife who they had that were better they legitimate children, and then they had their women on the side, like Henry VIII of England, Henry IV of freaking France that we see in reign. He has his wife, Queen Catherine. Henry VIII had his wife, Queen Catherine, and what they would sleep with the ladies in waiting, who was supposed to be there to try to find some good husbands, but now they're ruined because the kings want to sleep with them, and no man's gonna want to sleep with a woman that the king then had. She done lost her virginity, and if she has any kids, how he gonna know that they're his, that's their babies? Because it's not like back then they had more to be like, Lady Kenna, King Henry is not the father of your child. Oh my king! It's not like they had Maury back then, okay? It's not like they had like DNA testing. So if your child, so you had to be sure that the child was yours. So that's why the woman had to be a virgin, and the only man she slept with was her husband. Because if she slept with anybody else, then there's a possibility that the child might not be yours. Like in The Walking Dead with Lori, whatever that girl name is. She thought her man was dead, so she was sleeping with Rick's friend Shane. So Rick comes back, she act like she ain't never even touched Shane before in her life, and then she find out she's pregnant. So I'm like, that baby cannot be Rick's because he only been back for a couple of minutes, and you've been sleeping with Shane how long? I'm pretty sure that baby is probably Shane's. But anyway, it just serious. So after he tries to kill the boy, he tells his guards to wrap the boy up in a blanket and takes him out to where the refugees are. Jafar didn't die, but now he's pissed off, and that causes him to learn about magic, what he learned from the sorceress, and he betrays her by turning her into the staff that he has now, and that's why he's evil. And the old man that's in the cage is the Sultan. He kidnapped him because all he wants for his father to say is love, I love you, son. That's all he wants the boy to say. So they show the prince coming in, and he said, the prince, pretty much have the prince try to defend your father. The prince becomes a coward. I'm like, oh, and that's the one you wanted for a son. So Jafar kills him, and he tells him, I would have died for you, father. I would have died for you. But you want this, but you wanted him, pretty much a coward who wouldn't even die for you. I'm like, mm, 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 mm. Mm-mm-mm. So I can't wait to see what other fairy tales they add into Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. Hopefully, I hope we see Aladdin, the street rat, riff rat, street rat. I don't buy that. So anyway, that's all for Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. It returns March 6th, and I will see you guys next time. So come and subscribe, and you guys have a wonderful holiday. Bye.